regional and anti-colonial movements occupied by Russia, the last colonial empire in Europe, together with all supporters of free nations, stand at a key geopolitical crossroad. We acknowledge Canada's important geopolitical role as a G7 member and its responsibility to protect international peace, security, and global stability, as well as democracy and the rule of law. We thereby declare that any real and substantial changes within the territory of the Russian Federation are not possible without its complete and unconditional defeat in its genocidal war against Ukraine. The decolonization and de-imperialization of the Russian space will become a reality only in the context of the complete deoccupation and victory of Ukraine, which today is the bastion and vanguard of free world's fight against tyranny. We call on Canada and all friends and allies of Ukraine to provide all the necessary assistance, military, financial, diplomatic, informational material to Ukraine and in its fight for democracy and freedom. The support should be provided without any delays and interruptions to save the lives of the brave Ukrainian men and women in uniform, as well as Ukraine's civilians.
Make it happen. Can you please briefly help me to get answer on that, because I'm representing as well as Russian opposition. So agreed on you, on Mr. Khodorkovsky, and never going to apologize on his things, what he did to Chechen people. How to make it happen? Help me please to understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
And your question was on?
How to?
The question was to whom? Who you do want?
To all of you, very briefly, if you can help to understand and make happen truth and reconciliation across the Russian Empire. Thank you.
Well, I think for the Chechen government, the most important thing is the recognition. First of all, to recognize our government is a first step to give us this diplomatic support. It will definitely, break the Russian propaganda. It will make realize people here in the West that Chechens are not terrorists, the Chechens are not bandits, the Chechens are people that me and my 70-year-old mother and my 6-year-old son, that they are not terrorists, that they just want to have their own sovereign country. And the first thing that when we tried to build our country, it was because we had this commitment to human rights and democracy. So I think the most important thing for us is the recognition. Once Canada recognizes, once the West recognizes that yes, the Chechen government in exile is there, that our territory is occupied, this can break the ice and will help to get to this reconciliation. And the last thing I want to add, one, because you're a Canadian citizen and I love Canada, one of the greatest achievements of Canada is the adoption of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And this charter is the essential part of Canada's democracy. And I think that recognizing the rights of the Chechen nation not to be deprived of life and liberty, freedom of expression, and dignity will make Canada an even greater champion of human rights and democracy. And I truly hope that it's going to open this door.
Well, no. But what I want to ask you, Aset Sabb, who is the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria, from the perspective of the fight of the Chechen nation, which extends beyond, well beyond the 30 years of Russo-Chechen wars, starting from the 90s, but goes way back into the 19th century. What is the current state? Today, Chechen nation looks to be one of the most and best organized regarding structures in exile and also regarding the participation in the fight against Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with Chechen battalions fighting on Ukrainian side. So what is your view on where this fight will lead and what are the challenges, the most important challenges staying in front of this?
Well, thank you very much for the question. Bonjour, mesdames, messieurs, chers invités. C'est un grand honneur pour moi d'être ici. C'est un grand plaisir pour moi d'être ici. J'aimerais bien remercier tous les organisateurs de cet événement, de m'avoir invité, mais surtout de m'avoir donné la chance de partager ma vision d'une Europe unie et démocratique de la côte atlantique jusqu'au Caucase du Nord. To answer your question, it's a big question, and I need to develop it so our public understands all the details of the current state, how it came to what it is today in Chechnya. Because it didn't happen from one day to another day. It's a whole process, all the political processes, all the historical events that came, that led to today's status quo in Chechnya. And I think it's very important to understand that one of the greatest achievements of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria is the adoption of the democratic constitution in 1992. This constitution it is an essential part of the Chechen Republic's democracy, shaping our values, ideals, and our national identity. And the modern history of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria and the modern history of the Chechen independence movement begins with the commitment to these values, with the commitment to the human rights and to the idea of self-determination. The first leader of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria, Johar Dadaev, committed himself to these values when, as a Soviet Air Force general stationed in Estonia, he refused to use the force against the independence demonstrators in 1988 in Estonia. And Johar Dadaev, he intended to build a democratic state following the example of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. The legitimate basis of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria is crystal solid and undeniable. The Declaration of State Sovereignty adopted by the Supreme Soviet of the Chechen Republic on 27 November 1990 was in full conformity with the new USSR legislation. Although Russian liberals and other imperialists try to hide historical facts and portray Chechnya as a country of bandits and terrorists, Chechnya's democratic path to sovereignty was paved in full accordance with international law. In fact, the professor of international law from the University of Illinois, Francis Boyle, he published an expert opinion where he said that the peace treaty concluded between the Russian Federation and the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria in 1997 constitutes a de facto recognition of the independent Chechen Republic of Ichkeria by the Russian Federation under international law and practice. He also said that since the Russian Federation treated the independent Chechen Republic of Ichkeria as an independent state, then there is no treated de facto as an independent state under international law and practice, then there is no good reason why other states and international organizations should not do the same, if not more. So the treaty is the only document that defines the relations between Chechnya and Russia, and the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria was never part of the Russian Federation. We adopted our democratic constitution 1 year earlier than the Russian Federation, and we never signed the federal agreement with Russia. So we consider the continued presence of Russian troops on Chechen soil as a military occupation, and this occupation was recognized by the Ukrainian government in October 2022. So the current situation in Chechnya is dire. Over 100,000 Russian soldiers are stationed on Chechen soil, and the Chechen people are subjected to a line subjugation, humiliation, domination, demonization, and exploitation in Russia's illegal war against Ukraine. The Chechens are denied any meaningful exercise of their fundamental rights. The Russian military base in Khankala supports personal Putin's butcher, Kadyrov, who is accused of major violations of human rights violations. And those who dare to speak against the pro-Russian regime are either killed or sent to Ukraine as a cannon fodder. So for the last 30 years, Russia has fought 2 wars in Chechnya, killing over 300,000 Chechen civilians and 42,000 children. war crimes committed by Russian troops in Chechnya are documented by international organizations, and even so-called Russian liberals like Khodorkovsky openly admitted personally supporting the Russian troops to commit the genocide in Chechnya. We have endured deportations, genocide, cultural genocide, sweeps, concentration camps, refugee camps, and forced displacement. I was raised in Canada because when I was 9 years old, I became a refugee after my father was kidnapped in Grozny by Russian invaders. Our people chose independence twice, and we never surrendered to the Russian will, and we never surrendered to the Russian Empire, and we're still committed to the choice that we have made.
And it's a question about Ramzan Kadyrov, the dictator of Chechnya. And what is your vision for the possible future? I know it's hard to try to predict something, but if we just look at how he forms his own loyal army, and could it be a potential conflict with Moscow? Could that be a tension point between the Federation and Chechnya? And what is the vision of Ичкерия government on the threat of Kadyrov for the Chechnya?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. You see, Kadyrov is not a Chechen phenomenon, it's a Putin's phenomenon. And Putin created Kadyrov upon the way he is, Putin himself is. And Kadyrov is in power as long as Putin is in power. The moment Putin is dead or removed, gone, there is no Kadyrov. Kadyrov is just a puppet that is used to do the worst, the most dirty work of Putin. And the Kadyrov does not represent any possible threat without Putin. Kadyrov will be there as long as Putin is there. When Putin is not there, Kadyrov won't be there. And I think it's very important to understand that Kadyrov is used only as a means of propaganda by Russian authorities, especially by Kremlin. And the first thing when the invasion started in Ukraine on the 24th of February 2022, what they showed Kadyrov, and they scared the entire world with saying that Chechens are attacking Ukrainians. But this is complete propaganda, because even those Kadyrovцы who are today sent to Ukraine are mostly sent, and our government has the information, are mostly sent as a punishment as a cannon fodder to be used in Ukraine, because most of these Kadyrovцы either they oppose the regime or they oppose the Putin's regime, and most of them are sent as a cannon fodder. But the small entity that is very loyal to Kadyrov, and because he doesn't have an army, but he has a small brigade that is very loyal to Kadyrov. This is not, it doesn't represent any threat, as long as, it doesn't represent any threat, and it represents only 0.0000 some percentage of the entire Russian army. So the moment Putin is gone, Kadyrov is nothing. Our government, the government of Chechen Republic of Ichkeria in exile, initiated a plan to unite the Northern Caucasus, and our government, with the help of the Polish deputy Anna Fotyga, organized an event at the European Parliament, where the representatives of the Caucasus, of the Northern Caucasus region, had the chance to speak about the issue in the Northern Caucasus, and also to speak about the confederation of the Northern Caucasus. And I think it's very important to understand that the confederation of the Northern Caucasus, it represents a good potential, and it can become an ally for the West, a democratic ally for the West, if it really starts, if the confederation starts to live. It represents a huge territory, over 250,000 square kilometers, with 14 million people, and it really has the potential of becoming an ally for Western countries. And we are eager to getting the support from the Western countries to realize this initiative. What can be done to improve the situation in Eastern Europe is Western governments, I think, must face the uncomfortable truth that democracy is dead in Russia. And democracy died in Russia because it launched 2 bloody wars in Chechnya, violating all international norms and principles. And democracy died in Russia because when Putin transformed Russia into an authoritarian state, democracy died in Russia because the West never opposed Putin's authoritarian state. And I think it is possible to revive democracy in Russia only through the consolidation of the independence of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria and the recognition of the atrocities committed by the Russian Federation in Chechnya. I think without restoring the dignity and independence of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria, the international community won't be able to restore its commitment to human rights and democracy, no matter how often Western politicians invite Russian liberals into their cabinets. And I think that the 2 things that Canada, for instance, can do to help the process of democratization of the entire Eastern Europe is first to recognize the government of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria in exile, and the second thing is recognize the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria as occupied territory by Russian Federation, as Ukraine did in October 2022. So these 2 main points really will help to accelerate the process of the democratization of the entire Eastern Europe, because Europe, Northern Caucasus is part of the Eastern Europe. It's the eastern border, so we have to protect it, and it should be democratic.